Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob. Special episode today. I've invited Mike from Rider Reviews here to review an exploitation film. If you want to see me, you'll have to go over to his channel where I'll be reviewing a horror film. Pretty fun. So, after you're done watching him here, go over there and watch me there, and then watch him there, and subscribe to his channel. He's great. He reviews a lot of B-horror films. Stuff that's like much easier to find than the stuff I review, so that's cool. Yeah, so go there, after you're here, of course. My channel's cool too, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Hello and welcome to Exploitation Reviews. My name is Mike, and Rob and I have traded channels for the day. And so what movie has Rob picked out for me to watch and review, you might ask? Or maybe not, I don't know. It's the 1975 Jack Hill classic, Switchblade Sisters. And in this movie we get introduced to the street tough gang, the Silver Daggers, and more importantly, their female counterpart, the sister gang, if you will, almost literally, the Dagger Debs, led by Lace. And just like Lace and the Dagger Debs is a group of women that have only one name and are looking for trouble, including Krabs, Donut, Patch, so on and so forth. And where things really start to pick up is when they try to secure themselves a table at a restaurant.
New around here? Maybe. Like the table?
And in typical gang fashion, they don't just want an empty table, they want the table that everybody else is sitting at, and they will intimidate them away from their burgers and fries. Unfortunately, one of the people sitting at that table is Maggie. Maggie isn't quite so easily intimidated. In fact, she's pretty darn tough. And in actual fact, she might find herself to be the toughest of all of them. So through a grouping of happenstances and so forth, Maggie is sort of introduced as a newest initiate into the Dagger Debs and finds herself in a little bit of an odd vacuum power struggle situation when the leader of the Dagger Debs finds herself a little bit distracted with the goings-ons of the Silver Daggers and the fella that she is tight with there, and it doesn't really help that she has Patch constantly whispering in her ear everything possible that Maggie could be doing and influencing leadership decisions from the sidelines.
Back off, Patch. Let me handle it my way.
Lace, she's cutting you from the inside. Girls, listen to her.
Nobody takes what's mine.
Now there's a lot in play here that Jack Hill says is influenced by the Shakespeare play Othello, most notably the idea of Patch being the Iago of the film. And you know what? I can really see that and appreciate it. Honestly, all told, I loved this movie to pieces from start to finish. I thought it was just a beautiful, wonderful little flick. Now, director Jack Hill, famous for his exploitation and blaxploitation films such as The Big Dollhouse, Coffee, Foxy Brown, and so forth, studied alongside classmate Francis Ford Coppola under the tutelage of Roger Corman. And there's a lot of that influence that can be seen in this film. Jack Hill is famous for saying that he loves the idea of working on stuff that has a lower budget, that doesn't have as much major studio influence because he can get away with a lot more, and then the little bits of sex and violence and so forth that'll put butts in seats that Roger Corman was famous for injecting into his movies, he could do that in a way that allows him to also add material to make people think. It was the perfect blend between having autonomous freedom as a writer and director, having getcha moments and so forth that will get the audiences in the theaters, and then having storylines that will actually elevate thought and conversation. And that's one of the things that Jack Hill does best. Unfortunately, he was kind of relegated and kept at the eye level of underground cinema, appreciated, but never really blown up until Quentin Tarantino decided that he wanted to pay tribute to one of his favorite filmmakers and several of his favorite films. So he brought Jack Hill along and his filmography into the limelight for re-release, DVD release, more theatrical releases, so on and so forth, and really shined a spotlight on Hill and his films. And I think no more was that present than with Switchblade Sisters, where he actually threw a huge Los Angeles bash and had all the actresses and the actors and so forth that were still alive and available brought over in cars to a huge screening and a big old celebration of everything that was Switchblade Sisters. Now for me, on just a story structure level, I found this movie to be a little bit simplistic, but still entirely enjoyable. It's such a fine line to walk when our core conflict of the story can easily be resolved through honest communication. It's one of those things where you could easily wind up in cheesy sitcom-esque territory. But I think that's where Jack Hill actually kind of fell back on some of the source inspirational material of Othello, because it could easily be said that a lot of Shakespeare's work is simply characters that could have achieved peace and tranquility in Act 1 with some simple freaking communication. But he still unfolded everything masterfully, and I think Jack Hill really took that cue. There were a lot of interesting political interests that were brought forward here, with the Silver Daggers and the Dagger Debs kind of following their own path, looking out for themselves, but somehow still kind of getting wrangled into deciding whether it should be adversarial or a partnership between other far-right gangs and other far-left gangs, and the situations that kind of arose therein. Meanwhile, the entire time, of course, because they're a gang and there's violence and so forth, they're always one step ahead, hopefully, of the police. As far as the acting goes, I found myself enjoying it quite a bit. It was a little bit one note, but that one note was played masterfully. It was all just kind of street tough gang posturing, but it was done fairly well, and I believed it. I think it could have easily wound up in the cheesy category, and maybe when the movie first started, while I was kind of calibrating my expectations for it, it might have kind of drifted into that. But even so, I think everything settled down, and I got into the movie, and every character was really sold by their respective performance. So overall, I'm really glad that Rob recommended this to me. I thought it was a fantastic watch, and I highly recommend Switchblade Sisters.